Ready to dominate at the plate? Blast Baseball is trusted by more major league and college teams than any other hitting solution. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 at checkout to save $25. All right, everybody, it is 9 o'clock. Let's get right into it. We do this show every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitter Spaces. I'm Alan Gay, and this is Now D1 Speaks. Got a really fun night tonight. Got a big show. We got Coach Dave Rinehart with us. He's an assistant coach. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get a lot of in-depth conversation, not only about his program, but just kind of college baseball in general. Hey, Coach, are you out there?
Yeah, I am. Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I've really been looking forward to tonight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And while you do it, just kind of give us a little bit of a sense of who you are. Like, what year did you graduate from high school? Where you went to school afterwards? And really, how'd you get into playing baseball?
Yeah. So Dave Rinehart, assistant baseball coach at Allegany College. Man, I got into baseball. I mean, my dad was just a huge baseball guy. So, as soon as, I was able to pick up a bat and ball, I was out there playing. Baseball is something that, it has been with me my entire life. I was a 2011 graduate at Allegany High School here in LaVale, Maryland. From there, I went on to play 2 years actually at Allegany College. And then from there, I was looking to go play at Frostburg State prior to some elbow tendonitis issues, which, would end up being, unfortunately, the end of my collegiate career. That's about the overview of the playing career.
Man, I got to tell you, I love that story. I hear that all the time. And I think that's everybody's story that really gets into baseball. It's their dad. Hey, that's how I got into it. I know that's how my son got into it. And there's such a connection between dads and their sons and their daughters, just in regards to sports. There's just something about it. And there's that special feel with baseball. I even now, hey, Dave, I'm 56 years old and I sit around often when I'm talking to my dad, and things that reflect back in my mind are just being out in the yard and playing catch with him. And that's just things you just never forget. It's a bond that lasts a lifetime. I love that story. But I got to tell you, man, you're a young dude. 2011, you graduated high school. You were super young. And then it went to Allegany College. And I think that's so cool. How did that happen for you to go from high school to school right there?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. A lot of kids grow up, dreaming to play at the Ohio State, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. I mean, you name it. I grew up dreaming actually of playing at Allegany College in Maryland because of the coach who was here, Coach Steve Vizarnik, who was my coach when I was out here. Legendary coach, 3-time Hall of Fame inductee. Was the winningest coach in college baseball for a number of years. When I was younger, my dad was a runner. And so I would go out to AC with him when he would run. And naturally, I was a baseball guy. I would go and watch their games all the time. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I just can't imagine being able to play at such a high level like this. It was kind of a motivating factor throughout, my younger years that, man, one day I want to be able to play out there. I want to be coached by, Coach Vizarnik. So going into my senior year, I knew that I had work ahead of me. I really made sure that, my junior and senior year, I worked really hard, to make sure that was something that, would be able to come to fruition for me. And it was. I was super thankful for those 2 years I got to spend with Coach Vizarnik at AC. I really had a great time out there, and was able to be coached by one of the best to ever do it.
No doubt, man. That's so cool. And so you kind of mentioned when you were talking about your playing career that you ran into some tendonitis. Yep. What positions did you play? Were you a pitcher?
Yeah, so, I was one of those guys that throughout high school, I was like, man, I'm a legitimate two-way guy. I played the corners. And I quickly found out through high school and then early on in college. I tried to, Wayne, and Coach Bizarnik had a conversation with me early on about, hey, your role on this team would be as a pitcher, and we want you to focus on the mound. I mean, looking back, he was spot on. I mean, I didn't have those skills to play at that level, in the field. So I'm super thankful he was able to have that conversation with me. And, it's kind of funny looking back on it. When you first hear that, as the position player, you're kind of a little bit hesitant to believe it, but it was definitely the right decision. So yeah, I was a pitcher. It was always my first love. But obviously I like to get out there and be a position player when I could. But, yeah, I mean, I pitched my entire life, and I racked up quite an amount of innings. But yeah, unfortunately, towards the end, just from years of abuse without, really taking care of my arm the way that I should have, I started to develop some tendonitis, and, really never could shake it.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So tell us, just kind of give us a little bit of a feel, though, as to what the recruiting process was like for you. And if you had some other opportunities to go elsewhere, or if really it was all about, AC. I love that. It was all about AC and Coach Mazarnik.
Yeah, I mean, I had other offers and opportunities to go play at some other levels, but for me, I didn't really feel like I had something that was fitting to what I wanted at that time. And so I felt like, 2 years, go gamble on yourself at junior college, be a JUCO bandit, and then see what, reassess and see how things are after 2 years. If I would have stayed healthy, I think, I could have definitely done, gotten better opportunities than, um, coming straight out of high school. Now, for the younger guys who are listening, the recruiting process, even in 2011, I know that's only 12 years ago, but was completely different from what it is now. Nobody was really utilizing Twitter. There weren't really recruiting services. My recruiting was literally done off of a handheld camera that my dad had that we put onto like a CD and made like a little highlight tape, and then sent out to colleges. So, it is a completely different game now in the recruiting world than it was, 10, 15 years ago.
Man, I appreciate it. That's a great transition too, because that's a lot. What I really want to talk about tonight is recruiting, and of so many of the changes in recruiting. And Dave, I know you know this, Coach, but just as a reminder, our core audience is really uncommitted high school prospects, and they're looking for an opportunity to move to the next level. And a lot of these guys have a ton of ability. Maybe their name hasn't been out there, maybe their dad wasn't holding a camera and then burning a CD for them, but they've been utilizing Twitter, and just somehow, some way, they're just kind of getting overlooked a little bit as well. Because Twitter, you're just kind of inundated with so much video. And we're definitely going to get into that. And I love this was just a perfect transition. I do want to thank everyone again for jumping in. Thank you for being part of this. If you got in late, don't worry about it. One of the great things about Spaces is we're able to record it. And in doing that, we'll retweet this whole thing out in its entirety. So if you were late, you'll be able to hear it. Tonight, we're talking with Coach Rinehart. He's an assistant coach with Allegany College of Maryland. And we kind of started it out just getting a little bit of his background. And we're kind of catching up to date now. And so one of the things I'm really interested in, Coach, is once your playing career really kind of came to that end with the tendonitis and so forth, hey, did you just immediately transition into coaching, or was it a little bit of a process? And if it was, what kind of turned you on to becoming a coach?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. I spent a little time away from the game after going through that. I was really frustrated and upset. You spend your whole life throwing a baseball and then you can't. It's a pretty upsetting thing to go through. So I would say probably about 3 or 4 years after my collegiate career was over, I was just messing around one day and throwing, actually in the parking lot at the business that I own. And I was like, you know what, that doesn't feel too bad. And so I called up a men's league and ended up going and throwing a few innings for them over the course of 2 years. Um, and then it ended up, coming back a little bit on me. Again, my fault for not taking care of my arm the way that I should have. But um, when I got to the point when I realized, hey, you're not going to be able to get around the game anymore on the mound. I was like, well, I got to find out a way to get around the game because I've spent some time away from it and I really did not enjoy it. So I actually started by helping out as an assistant coach on a men's league team. And we had some really good success over those couple years that I was there, and then I ended up taking over the team. And while doing this, I was doing some recruiting service stuff on the side, and I was thinking to myself, if there's ever an opening at any local junior college, I'm going to put in for it. And lo and behold, that summer the assistant job came open at Allegany. And I applied for it, and was able to get the job. And I've been there going into my third year now at AC. So that is definitely starting from the bottom. By starting with a men's league team as a coach.
Man, this is so cool. And just for everybody that's listening, I just want to give you guys a kind of a sense of this. Spaces is all live. I mean, none of this is edited. We don't do overs. And also, Coach Rinehart and myself, we don't know each other. I mean, we're really getting to know each other just like anybody that's listening. And so I love this background. I will tell you that Coach Ronhart's been very supportive of Now D1, very, very appreciative of him. And just to kind of give you a sense of the character and who he is, I just reached out to him and said, hey, would you help me and be a part of my show? And he instantly said, yes, I'd love to do that. Just tell me when. And that's just kind of the guy he is. And as you're getting a sense talking to him, I think you're going to realize that as well. Hey, there's a couple of things that you just said that I'd really like to talk about a little bit more. One, you said after your playing career, you were busy at a business that you own. Hey, what kind of business do you own?
Yeah, it's a sporting goods store. So basically, if you're at a high school right now or at a college, uniforms, game balls, equipment, bats, etc., all of that stuff that you need for the year, our business provides that. So it actually kind of was the perfect segue into coaching because I already had a lot of connections at the collegiate level, through selling sporting goods to them, and then at the high school levels, and I have some great, people that incoming recruits from different agencies and recruiting services that I was able to meet. So it was kind of like the perfect segue into coaching. Kind of already having that background of people that you can reach out to for outgoing recruits, incoming recruits. And so it's kind of funny, as weird as it seems, the sporting goods industry really works hand in hand along with being a coach.
I love that, and I know that you probably weren't expecting this to be like a commercial for your business or anything. But what's the name of the store?
It's Personal Best Athletics right here in Cumberland, Maryland.
Personal Best Athletics. Is that the name of the website as well? If anybody wanted to get in touch with you?
Yeah, website is giveyourpersonalbest.com, and you can get in contact with us right there on the Contact Us tab.
All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then the second thing that you were talking about, the men's league. Man, all right. So was this a league that was specific to just Maryland, or were you traveling around a little bit? And did you have to go and try out for them? I'd just like to get a little bit more about how did you get involved in this men's league?
Yeah, so it was a Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia league. So we played, in those general areas, and it was actually all sanctioned underneath of one umbrella of um, adult baseball, basically. And I had a friend that ran a team, and I asked him, I was like, hey, you guys have any pitchers? Basically, I wouldn't mind coming out and throwing a few innings. He was like, yeah, anytime we have an opening, I'll let you know. And a couple weeks after I texted him that, after not throwing for 4 years, I was on a mound and I was like, man, I really missed this. So I was super appreciative of the 2 years I was able to get to throw again. It was really, you know, a good time. But then obviously transitioning into coaching a little bit whenever the writing was on the wall.
I can appreciate that. Absolutely. And I got to tell you, about a month and a half ago, we had the opportunity to have Jeremy Booth on, and he does the Future Stars series, and he was just a big time high school athlete, came out of California, and he had a lot of injuries as well, and his pro career really kind of got derailed. And I think he ended up playing. Gosh, I got to tell you, Coach, I think he played for 15 to 20 different minor league teams
Wow.
due to injuries and just kind of getting kicked around. And he made the comment, if you're not willing to walk through fire for baseball, baseball will absolutely kick you out. And I think one of the things that just kind of struck me as I was listening to you, when your career probably ended a little sooner than you were really wanting it to, that passion just never left you. It was something that was still kind of burning inside you. And when you had an opportunity to get back out there, feel the baseball, get, toe to rubber, and just be doing what it is that you felt like you were really meant to do, it just never left you. And then again, a second time when your career kind of was like, all right, I guess maybe this is it. You still couldn't leave it. You've got to be coaching it. And I think it's just remarkable. If you're going to really be successful, I guess successful in anything in life, but if you're certainly going to be successful in baseball, you have got to be so passionate because you're going to fight so many hurdles in your career. You're going to come up against so many obstacles. And if you're one of these guys that just kind of lets that knock you down, you could have all the talent in the world. You'll never be successful. You've got to be willing to kind of walk through fire. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. And I think a lot of what got me into coaching, outside of the fact that I'm a competitive person, I like to compete. And, that's one of the best ways that I can compete now is through coaching. Um, but back in the even mid to late 2000s, we didn't know what we knew now as far as arm care is taken care of. As far as that's concerned. I mean, I was someone that I would relieve on Mondays, I would start on Wednesdays, and then relieve again on Fridays. So, I mean, I ended up, I tallied it up one time. I threw 347 innings one time in just one calendar year.
Oh, my word.
And looking back at it, it's like, yeah, okay, well, no wonder you did get elbow tendonitis and end up, tearing your labrum. It kind of all, comes together. But, I wanted to help pass along my experiences and, kind of, I see it a lot. We had a kid this year that, I think he'd take the ball every day if you gave it to him. And, you kind of have to help protect these kids from themselves a little bit sometimes because I was one of those guys that, it didn't matter if I was sore. If I get loose, I was going to, get loose and go throw. And so that was a big driving factor to me in my baseball, for coaching, was, just being able to teach these kids the proper way to take care of their bodies and, just be able to help these kids, reach, uh, the level they want to compete at.
Absolutely, man. I can so appreciate this. So give us a sense then. You were kind of talking about that, the day to day, and helping these kids really at least have the opportunity to kind of fulfill their potential, whether they fulfill it or not, but you're giving them the opportunity to be able to do it. So how do you just kind of give us a sense of what the day to day is like for you as an assistant coach at AC?
Yeah. So, I the staff that I'm on is great. I mean, Gary Tipton, our pitching coach, and Mason Hine, the head coach, just absolutely love those guys. So one of the things I really appreciate about our coaching staff is the fact that Coach Hine is someone who is really willing to listen to input from everyone, and it's a very interesting dynamic where you're able to, have three guys who just really get along, um, you know, on the coaching staff. But, as far as being an assistant coach, a lot of what I'm doing is, helping our outgoing recruits. So guys who are here, right now, that we're trying to get to 4-year schools, or, even in some cases, professional baseball. And then obviously trying to, get the next group of Trojans in here, for our 2024, 2025 classes. So, the day to day obviously changes in the off season. It's a lot of incoming and outgoing recruiting. And then obviously once we get into the season, you're looking at more outgoing recruiting and, then going to practice, putting together, programs for our guys for throwing programs, kind of going over what we're going to do for practice and, helping get these guys ready for the spring season.
Heck yeah, man. It's a full-time job. I got to tell you, though, the last week or so, I feel like every time I open up Twitter, I'm seeing you talking about the outgoing recruiting. I feel like every time I open up a different page, I see a commitment coming out of Allegany College. What's going on, man? You guys are absolutely turning out ball players.
Oh yeah, I mean we had a really solid class this year. I was really excited, with what was going to happen at the start of this year for our guys because I knew we had some really talented guys. And it's been really exciting to see these guys going to the next level. I mean, just this week alone, we've had 3 commitments. I mean, Noah Williamson to Ohio State, Kobe White to Stephen F. Austin, and then Nick Berryman to McPherson College. That is so rewarding to see that for those guys because they all deserve it. They were all great guys while they were here. Leaders on and off the field. Really worked hard, and they came here and they did what they had to do. In the junior college world to move on. So that's really been a thrill to see these guys get the opportunity that, when they came in here, they had a goal and, they achieved it. I know I was talking to Kobe White just the other day, and he said, when I first came here, my biggest thing was I was going to come here, I was going to work for 2 years. I wasn't going to think about anything else because I want to see what the highest level I can play at is. He said, I want to help turn a program around, and this is the perfect place to do it. And I mean, man, did he do it. It ends up going to Stephen F. Austin, and that's just a thrill. And then, I mean, for Noah Williamson to come here, really, I mean, not a ton of offers out of the high school world, and decided that he wanted to come here for 2 years and bet on himself. And I mean, if there's ever a definition of what junior college can do for you, he's the guy to look at. I mean, he came here, gambled on himself, worked hard, got the grades, and is now going to be pitching in the Big Ten this year with Ohio State.
Man. Hey, everybody that's joining again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your support more than you'll ever know. Earlier I mentioned that we record this space. Not only do we retweet it out, but we turn it into a podcast. The podcast is now D1 Speaks, and it is absolutely blown up. I got to tell you, it just surprises me when I see the subscribers and the listeners and how many times that the shows have been downloaded and so forth. It's just really remarkable. I think it's just a kind of a perfect union. Again, our core audience is really college coaches. Our core guests are uncommitted baseball prospects, generally high school. I've recruited some junior college guys. Interviewed. I've interviewed junior college guys, and I've interviewed some post-grad guys. But most of the guys have been high school uncommitted, and they're just looking for they're just looking for an opportunity. And so it's been a really, really good show all the way around. Very fortunate to have Coach Rinehart on with us tonight. And you guys have to excuse my voice. I have been sick the last couple of days. I apologize for having such a raspy voice, but we'll get through it. So, Coach, I tell you, when you were talking about, a couple of the guys that just moved on to the next level, specifically Kobe and Noah, and a couple of things that were just really standing out. They were kind of betting on themselves, and they put down a track record. I got to tell you, I love the JUCO route. Just such a proponent really of all the benefits that junior college offers. I mean, could you kind of talk to us about that, and then maybe specifically what it is that Allegheny College really has to provide?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I think junior college in most instances is the best route for guys. Especially now, that we're getting into the transfer portal era. I mean, there's more competition now for, outgoing recruits than ever before. I tell all of our incoming recruits, look, when you come in, it used to be that if you were a high school guy, you're competing against, at worst, maybe a junior or a senior at a school, that you would have to beat out for a position. The problem now is when you're coming out of high school and even when you're coming out of junior college, you have to be better than the grad transfer. You have to be better than the kid who may transfer from XYZ school to, this other school. And it's affecting all divisions. It's not just Division I baseball. It's not just Division I, two, three. I mean, it's not even, just NAI. I mean, it comes all the way down to the junior college level. And so one of the biggest things is, you have to be able to separate yourself from the pack. And the best way that I think that you can separate yourself from the pack is you have to be a great person on and off the field. You have to be a leader. You have to do what's right at all times. And then B, you're going to have to go get the grades. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't come here and get the grades, then you are not going to be able to move on. And specifically, the better your grades are, the cheaper you are for schools, and the more affordable that you are for schools. And by doing that, you can really help yourself in the long run. Maybe go to that school that you really want to go to because they don't have to spend as much athletic money, or maybe they don't have to spend any at all. But those are two huge things I think goes overlooked. A lot of guys come in, they're like, man, I got to do this, I got to bat this, or I have to have an ERA like this, or my strikeout to walk ratio has to be this. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you, if you come here and you do what you have to do on and off the field, and you go and get the grades, you've already established a cornerstone for yourself that you're going to be able to go play baseball somewhere. Maybe it's not exactly where you always dreamt of, but you are going to be able to go play college baseball. I mean, let's face it, that's a blessing. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't get the opportunity to play college baseball. So, really at the end of the day, that's where it all starts in the classroom, on and off the field. Now, as far as, what we do at Allegany College to help get guys recruited, I feel like one of the things that we really do well is we really market our guys hard on Twitter, directly to coaches, through email, through text. We also have a great partner that we work with, Cross Brothers. They are a recruiting service that we've used, and I got to tell you, we've had a lot of guys come through here from Cross Brothers, and they do a really good job at helping us with their guys who have come here. But I got to tell you, they've always sent us really solid guys, and it's just been. I mean, Joe over at Cross Brothers has just been amazing, not just to us, but helping us with get contacts for guys, to get out of here. But we really do a good job of marketing our guys. We have a pro day every year in the fall. Have a lot of coaches out to that, and then we gather tape on every single kid, and we get the tape from the kid. We get their grade, or their GPA, I mean, and we get their height, weight, get all their metrics, and then we send out all that information to every coach in the country, basically on an email directory that we have. And I got to tell you, when we do that, it's typically a pretty busy month or two for us because we're getting blown up pretty good. But that's kind of how we approach it. I view junior college as a place that, I mean, obviously, your goal is to always win. I'm super competitive, and I'll take losses as hard as anyone. But at the end of the day, the reason you're coming to junior college is so that you can develop and go on to the next level. And we don't lose sight of that throughout any part of the year. And we really work hard to get our guys recruited. I'm telling you, it's tough. I mean, it would be easy to, just kind of tell guys, hey, you have to, kind of do your own recruiting. But at the end of the day, that's not why you're coming to junior college. You're coming to help get recruited. So we really help our guys out with that. Now, I will say you do need to help yourself by helping market yourself as well, because the coaches can't always do it for you. But we had some guys this year who are really good at helping market themselves, and between those guys doing it and then us reaching out to coaches all the time, it seems like it's been a formula that's really worked for a lot of guys.
I would have to agree. I think the formulas that you guys are on is absolutely successful. I had the opportunity to talk to a coach last night, and it was really amazing. One of the things that he said, so similar to you, coach, he was saying, hey, number one, you've got to have the ability. But number two, you just got to be a good human. You got to be a good human being.
Yep.
You got to be someone that's responsible, that can take care of their business off the field, and is just a good person to be around. I mean, that's a major piece of it. And the other thing that you were talking about, and it is so true, and it doesn't matter the level, the opportunity to play college athletics is it just doesn't happen for everybody. To be able to say that I played, oh by the way, 20 years from now, oh by the way, I played college baseball. That's something literally you will carry with you for the rest of your life. I mean, that is truly a blessing. You nailed it. It is an extreme privilege. And then if you have the responsibility to carry yourself knowing that that was such a blessing and still put down the track record, well, that's why you got your Kobe Whites. That's why you have your Noah Williamsons, right? I mean, that's what it takes. And if you're able to market those guys that are doing the right thing, gosh, I got to believe, coach, it just attracts other guys like them to want to come and talk to you and find out what it's all about. And so it kind of just feeds each other all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hey man, I really, really love this. Talk to us a little bit more about recruiting. Like when you're out and you're going to watch a guy play outside of the ability, because I can't imagine that you're going to get in your car and go anywhere if somebody doesn't have the ability. I mean, number one, they got to be good ball players. But
Yep.
what is it that you're really looking for to recruit? I mean, outside of the positions that you need and so forth. I mean, what is it about somebody that really helps them to get on your radar and you to start thinking, gosh, this is exactly the kind of kid we need at school.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you did nail it on the head. I mean, the abilities obviously would get you interested. But from there, if I'm going out to a game and I'm scouting a kid, or maybe I'm scouting a team, some of the first things that I look at is, okay, how is this kid? I mean, is he getting along with the teammates? What's his warm up routine look like? A lot of times, I really pay attention to who's running on and off the field. I mean, that's a big one for me. If I see a kid that is walking on and off the field, or doesn't look like he wants to be there, I mean, I have no interest. I will scratch that name off my list right away. I'm looking for guys who are out there supporting their teammates, and honestly, uh, one of the biggest things that I see is, you know, I'm not necessarily concerned about how you perform that day. I mean, if you're a position guy and you're over three, but you hit three line drives right at people, or really had some good at bats and fought in your at bats, uh, you know, I don't take really results into consideration. I like finding kids that I feel like have the skill set, and the attitude that I'm looking for. I can actually tell you, I went to a game earlier this year where the kid only got one at bat, and he struck out and had one fielding opportunity and made the put out. But one of the reasons I was interested in the kid was he struck out. He came back in the dugout, uh, didn't slam anything, put the bat right back where it was supposed to be, and then was right back in there cheering for his teammates. And I've heard him say to one of the kids on the team, he's like, "Hey, next time I get up there, I'm going to sit back on that slider next time. I'm going to get him next time." And that's the guy that I'm looking for, because I mean, let's face it, baseball's a game of failure, especially if you're a position player. You have to be okay with accepting failure and embracing it. And, if I see a kid that's putting just a tremendous amount of pressure on himself, my first thought is, I mean, the first slump you go into, it's going to be hard to get out of because you're going to be in such a negative mind space. It's going to be difficult to get out of.
Man, I tell you, this is all gold right here. I know that the guys that listen to this show are going to be eating this up because honestly, this is the kind of thing that you read about in posts and articles, coaches saying, and you always kind of wonder yourself, do they really believe that? I mean, or is that just something that somebody's trying to get a click, right? But to hear you say it, that it's not about the results. I mean, you already know they have the ability. I love the way you were saying that. I honestly, you know what I thought you were going to say, Coach? He had one at bat and he struck out and he had one fielding opportunity and he made an error. And I was like, well, dang, man, you should have come and recruited me. No.
Rough day, right?
That's right. I was thinking I would have gotten a full ride. Hey, again, we are talking with Coach Rinehart tonight. He's assistant coach at Allegany College of Maryland. Absolutely appreciate him being on. As I mentioned earlier, that we record this, we've got the podcast, so forth. Hey, if you're out there and you're listening to it and you're uncommitted, doesn't matter if you're in high school, junior college, you're a transfer, and you just want to be heard and you want to have an opportunity for coaches to find out who you are, please reach out to me. I'm on Twitter. I'm at now_D1. I know that we can figure something out and get you scheduled. I'll tell you that July is booked. And I think about the first week of August, it's already booked. But that's fine. We're going to run it through the summer. We do this Monday through Thursday, and we'll continue on, I'm sure, into the fall as well. So I'd love to talk to you. Feel free to reach out to me. Hey, we've talked a good bit about recruiting kind of off and on, and I have a feel for probably where you're going to go with this. But let me ask you, Coach, just given the current model that college baseball is in, with the contact period, D1, when a coach can actually start reaching out to a kid, and transfer portal, just what's your feeling with the overall recruiting model and the way things are moving?
Yeah, so it's really an interesting space right now. So it used to be the junior college guys. I'm just speaking on junior college at the moment. Um, it, April and May was kind of your period where you had a lot of your commitments coming through. The transfer portal has really changed the game a lot, and a lot of reasons because every school is kind of waiting on exactly what the other guy from the other school is doing. And so in a lot of ways, it's kind of become like a free agency. And, you kind of have to wait for, so-and-so to get out of the portal and commit to, XYZ school. And then, there's a trickle down effect from each, level. So in a weird way, I actually think that it has benefited junior college because I think there's a lot of coaches out there that don't really recruit high school guys heavily. I mean, maybe it's somebody who just has like a tremendous amount of talent, but I'm seeing more and more the collegiate coaches, like older guys who have been through a few seasons, whether it's in junior college or college baseball. And, they like to get that older guy who has been there, done that, and, they kind of know what they're getting. So that's kind of been like the biggest differential that I've seen in the recruiting space, since you know, everything's changed with the transfer portal and whatnot. But I really do think it's been an advantage to junior college because I do think there's been more opportunities opened. But unfortunately, I think, for a lot of high school guys, I think it's made junior college for them, a more of an option that they really need to consider, to be able to get a year or two underneath of their belt in college baseball before, they go to try transfer on to another school. So it's really been interesting. We had last year quite a few guys that signed in June. And then, I mean, this year we had a ton of guys committing throughout June and July. So, it's definitely an interesting space right now. But I also think that, and this kind of just goes back to the general recruiting sense in general. I kind of think that the recruiting world in general is a lot easier to navigate right now because there's so many ways to get attention and so many ways to, be seen. But, you have to be willing to go out there and put in the time to do that, and market yourself, and then have a coach help, market you as well. So I do think that, the addition of the transfer portal, I don't think it's been completely negative. I know a lot of guys like to bash it, but I don't think it's been completely negative. Now, are there people who I do feel take advantage of it? Absolutely. I wish that the transfer portal was more, of a, hey, this just isn't going well. This kid came to a Division I school or a Division II school, and kind of thought he could play here, and he might need a year or two of development. And, he hits the transfer portal, or a coach leaves or something like that. I do think that in some cases the transfer portal has turned college baseball uh, into Major League Baseball free agency, which is a little bit disappointing because that's one of the things that's makes college baseball a little bit unique. But I don't think that the addition of the transfer portal has been completely negative. But I would like to see them make some tweaks to it that would maybe allow it to be a little bit uh, better. And I mean, obviously, when you combine the transfer portal with the NLI money that we're seeing come out of some of these different institutions, it's definitely kind of changed college baseball from college baseball to, a like a professional baseball free agency. I mean, man, some of these kids are getting paid more money than minor leaguers are.
They absolutely are. There's
So,
no question about that. I mean, and in many regards, I kind of think you're seeing some of the P5 schools that really have the budgets and so forth. It's almost like they're kind of becoming a little bit of a league of their own, and they can compete against the minor league money that's being offered. There's no question about it. And in many ways, as a parent, thinking about my own kids and so forth, I think I would probably be more dialed into saying, hey, coming out of high school, I think you should go to college. You're going to be in a better living environment. It's probably going to be a little bit safer. You're going to get great nutrition. You're going to get great workout programs. You're going to get a ton of clothes. I mean, you're going to be protected, a little safer. I could almost kind of say, hey, I'm pushing you that direction, even if you're a no doubt major leaguer. So a lot of things certainly have changed, but what a great rundown that you just gave us. And focusing really on the junior college piece, one thing that I wrote down just immediately, you were saying like last year, a couple of guys came in June and July, and you're starting school in August, and you still got guys you're signing in July. As it gets later and later, do you really focus only on recruiting? And speaking in high school, that you're only really recruiting high school seniors? You guys really aren't dialed into any juniors, certainly not any sophomores, right?
I mean, definitely not juniors, but when there's kids that hit the portal, we definitely take a look at them. And, I think last year alone, I think we had 4 or 5 transfers, in the transfer portal. And, that's kind of what I mean about it. It's created such an interesting dynamic because, if you're a high school student looking to go play at a junior college, most of the time you assume, okay, well, I need to be with one of the better players in this 2 years worth of classes. But that's not always the case. I mean, we had a kid who was 21 years old transferring to us
Hmm.
last year out of a Division I, and the kid was really solid. And that's just kind of my point about you're really facing steep competition wherever you're trying to play. And I think a large, portion of that, does come from the transfer portal. Um, but
Uh,
go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. I was just sitting here thinking too, in regards specifically to you guys, what kind of roster size do y'all have?
Yeah, so we typically keep somewhere between 40 or 45 guys. One of the unique things about junior college is you're playing so many double headers that you really have to have a lot of pitching. And it's one of the things that I try to tell to our incoming recruits, for our arms. I'm like, hey guys, I mean, there's some weekends that we're playing doubles on Saturday, Sunday, and then we have doubles on Tuesday, Thursday. We got a lot of innings we've got to cover. So we do keep quite a number of pitchers. We typically keep between like 20 and 22 arms. Because you got to be able to go out there and put out a really solid arm every time that you compete, and especially, I will say, man, Region 20 and Division II junior college baseball is a really good region. I mean, there is some really good baseball that is played here, and if you're not able to go out there and put out a really solid arm, uh, whether it's a one or a six guy in your rotation, you're going to have a rough day. So, we do keep about between 40 and 45. And then I would say during the season, we're probably around 35 because you obviously lose some guys to, grades and, things of that nature. But one of the things that I think is just unbelievable about this program is Coach Hine does not cut anybody. So if you're here in the fall, you're here with us, through the rest of the year. And, he really is committed to, helping um, develop everybody. So, it's pretty awesome that, you're able to come here and right away you don't have to worry about, being cut or, anything like that. And one of the reasons we do that is we just don't want anybody to, be tight. If we brought you in, we brought you in because you have a skill set that we like. And, we see an opportunity to develop your game and make you a better baseball player and, obviously help the team. So, that's generally how we go about constructing our roster.
Man, I tell you what, Coach, I have really enjoyed this evening. I mean, you're unbelievable. I appreciate your candor so much and your honesty and just kind of laying out the good, the bad, and I got to tell you, the good so far outweighs the bad. But just the way you just kind of lay everything out there, and I love the fact that nobody gets cut. I mean, that is just unbelievable. You're right. If you're on the mound and you're tight and you give up a couple of hits or so, you think you're going to be loose the next time you go out? Heck no, you're going to even be tighter. So I think that's a great attitude right off the bat. Hey, let's kind of end this thing, this evening with if you had the opportunity to maybe talk to a younger athlete, and I'm thinking maybe somebody right before they get really involved in high school, so 13, 14, maybe 15, and they're good at baseball, but they really want to be successful long term. What kind of advice are you giving a young kid like that?
My biggest advice would be to enjoy the game and love the game and play the game because you love the game and let everything else fall into place. Obviously, you have to work hard and, you have to get it done in the classroom. You have to get it done on and off the field. But as far as on the field, just go out there, appreciate the game, and love that you're out there with the opportunity to play. I feel the rest will always fall into place. Like I've said, a little bit earlier, I feel like once guys start getting focused on results, and whether you're 13 years old or 20 years old, or even when you're 40 years old and in the workforce, you know, I truly believe that once you start becoming results oriented, is when you can really see some negative impacts. Because if you can't constantly deliver on those demands, then a lot of times you see things go the opposite direction. And so, my biggest thing is don't focus on the results, focus on the process, uh, and just work your tail off. And if you do that, and you're a good kid on off the field, and you get the grades, I'm telling you, there's no doubt about it that when you get into that prime area for recruiting, you're going to be just fine.
Man, I tell you, Coach, you're a fine representative of college, Allegheny College of Maryland. There is no question about it. And I love one of the things to kind of reflect back on, and there's no question about it. You said that Region 20 is a tough region. And then you threw in this is D2 JUCO. Hey, guys, any high school kids that are listening out there, you've got a couple of guys in Kobe White and Noah Williamson, right? That they went to D2 JUCO, and now they're going D1. And I mean, so that kind of tells you the opportunities that are out there. You've got an opportunity to go to college. You want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to play college baseball, not sit and watch somebody else. you can go just about anywhere, and you want to be able to play, and you want to be able to put down a record, and you want to put down a school record as well. If you have an opportunity to go to junior college and you do it for 2 years, you're going to walk out of there with an associate's degree already in your back pocket. And you're going to do it a lot less expensive than you would just about anywhere else. The advantages to junior college are phenomenal. And then when you hear coaches like Coach Rinehart and the people that you would be associated with, it's almost a no-brainer. I mean, I got to tell you, there's just too many advantages to junior college just to ever kind of just wipe that out and say, nope, I'm D1 or bust. Hey, Coach, man, I have had so much fun really listening to you this evening and just getting to know you and know more about your program and the way you got into baseball. I mean, just the entire evening, I have absolutely enjoyed it. I hope it's been worth it for you to be on as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on. And I mean, now D1 has been great to us at AC. Like I said earlier, with us marketing guys on Twitter, being able to use your platform and having you retweet our guys. There's a lot of coaches that pay attention to your page, and I got to tell you, there have been a lot of coaches that have reached out to me because they've saw the video that you've retweeted, of guys. So it was the least I could do. You guys, have been great to us at Allegany. So, I really hope that, the night was worth it for you. And, I really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man, that just absolutely put a smile on my face. Thank you so much for those kind words, man. Just absolutely appreciate it. And I hope you'll make me a promise, man, that we're able to stay connected. And maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, if I give you a call, man, I'd love for you to come back on. Give us another update. We want to know who you recruited out, where they went to school, and really what the future's looking like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. You got my number, man. Just reach out.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone that was here this evening, thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate it. I will tell you, tomorrow night, we've got another uncommitted prospect coming on. It's Jeter Battles. He's a 25. You're not going to want to miss it. This is a big-time athlete. He comes from a very athletic family. He's got a huge future ahead of him. You get an opportunity to kind of hear two different spectrums. You heard a coach tonight, and then tomorrow night you're going to hear an athlete that's trying to get associated with a coach. And so it's a pretty cool dynamic. Hey, again, thank you very much for everybody being here. Thank you, Coach Rinehart. We're going to end it here. So good night.
Hey, let me ask you something. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more major league, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 and you will save $25 at checkout. Unlock your potential with Blast.